Hello everybody. So with this video, what we'll do is go over how to do the domain and range of a function like this one. So remember, domain is what x could be, and then the range is what y could be, right? So if we look at the cursor here, here's your graph. So this is graph E, and what you want to do is for the domain, you want to read things from left to right. So if we look at the parabola here, notice that you want to see where it starts from the left side. And notice that this thing goes on forever. So since you don't know what number exactly it starts from the negative side here, you want to state that it starts from negative infinity. And if we keep getting all the way to the right, notice that it doesn't really stop. It keeps going. So since we don't know when it stops, you'll say that it goes on to positive infinity. Okay, so then if we look at how they answered it here, notice how they put domain is from negative infinity to positive infinity, or you could just put infinity like the student did here. Okay, now for the range, notice how the student put from -4, and it has a bracket here from -4 all the way to infinity. Well, why did they get that, right? So with the range, what you want to do is you read it from the bottom all the way to the top. So notice that the lowest point, this is why it's important to know that you have a minimum, right? Notice that this person knows that they have a minimum here. The lowest point is located here. So notice I'm only focused on the y value, right? So notice that it starts off at -4, right? So if we zoom in a bit here, you'll notice that this graph here starts at -4 and it goes all the way up. So you read it from the bottom up, right? So here's -4. It starts right there. And if you keep going up, you don't know where it ends because it keeps going on to infinity. So that's how you get the answer here, is from -4 to infinity. Now let's look at a graph where it goes downward. So notice that we know that it goes downward because there's a negative right here in the front. Your a is negative. So notice how it goes like this. Okay? So if we look here, notice that the domain the student put right here from negative infinity to infinity. And the reason you do that is because, again, domain, you read it from left all the way to the right. So if we look at the left, notice that we don't know exactly where it starts from on the left. See, because it keeps going on. It goes on forever. So we say it starts from some negative number, negative infinity, and it keeps going all the way to the right. It goes on forever, as you can see here. It goes all the way to positive infinity. So that's how they get that part here. Okay, now this one here, you read it from the bottom up, right? So we're going to correct this one really quickly, okay? We're just going to help this student out just a little bit, right? So the range is actually written incorrectly, but the thought process is there. So if we go back here, notice that the highest point is right here, your vertex, the maximum. And notice that the y value here is 6.25. Now, remember I said that you read it from the bottom up. So from the bottom, you start from right here, if you see the cursor to the bottom, all the way to the top. So notice you're going to start reading it by going over here, okay? And you want to ask yourself, where does it begin? And notice that it keeps going forever. It's somewhere down there. We don't know exactly where it starts because it keeps going on forever. So what we're going to do is going to help the student out here. So I'm going to click right away over here. And we're going to say it's going to start at negative infinity because we don't know exactly where it starts from. Okay, and then we're going to put a comma here. Okay, and it's going to end at 6.25. And then we're going to put a bracket there. So this is the way it's supposed to be written. If I share with the class, that's how it's supposed to be written here, because it starts at negative infinity and it stops. If we keep going back up here, oops, there we go. It stops right here. That's where it ends. So it's from the bottom to the top, and it stops at 6.25. If we zoom in a bit, we could actually see it. right there. See? It stops right there at 6.25. And that's how you would do the range. Okay? And notice I fixed it. So it's from negative infinity all and it stops at 6.25.